The man who has navigated Iraq's foreign affairs for long years, including the crucial phase since the Gulf War, is an outspoken Iraqi Christian, Deputy Prime Minister Tariq Aziz. He was center stage once again during the February crisis when the United States and Britain very nearly bombed Iraq. Iraq had refused to comply with UN resolutions on weapons of mass destruction. This issue also now appears to be past its critical phase.
Mr. Tariq Aziz, you've just gone through a serious crisis. Why has Iraq been targeted, if what you're saying is true? What is the Western game plan in targeting Iraq?
Well, the targeting of Iraq actually started immediately and gradually after the end of the war with Iran. At that period, George Bush, who was a very ambitious person, realized that the Soviet Union is weakening. And the weakening of the Soviet Union gives America a historic opportunity to be the sole superpower. And being the sole superpower, you need to twist every important thing in the world. And one of the most important assets in the world is oil. And oil is here in this region. And he thought that without weakening Iraq in a way or another, he cannot do it because Iraq was strong, very independent-minded, and Iraq was talking about Arab independence, Arab solidarity, and Iraq was listened to in the Arab region. So Iraq had an influence, not only within its own territory, but a political influence in the direction of creating an Arab situation that will serve the objectives of independence and Arab solidarity. And he thought that as long as Iraq is there, he cannot achieve this objective of manipulating the region and its fortunes.
Earlier, Excellency, you mentioned about Iran, Iraq, and you said it was designed to weaken both the countries. Are you talking of some kind of a conspiracy theory?
It was not in the best interest of Iraq and Iran to go to war against each other. The best interest then and now is to have good neighborly relations, mutual respect of sovereignty, independence, non-interference in the internal affairs. Nobody should claim that he is the leader of the other. Unfortunately, at that time, the late Imam Khomeini thought of himself as the leader of the whole Islamic world. And being a Shiite Imam, he thought that he should have the authority to run Najaf and Karbala and Kadhimin and Samarra, which is Iraq. It's Iraq, you know.
Even on the question of Kuwait, the invasion of Kuwait, there seems to be a school of thought which believes that that was also a conspiracy. Much is made of the conversation that American Ambassador April Gillespie had with the leadership here in Baghdad, which led you to believe that Americans are going to wink the other way.
America, as a country, as a state, and its ambassador in Baghdad, April Gillespie, didn't give any indication which upon which we made any conclusions. The meeting, I attended that meeting. I was the foreign minister then. It was a routine meeting. Kuwait cannot threaten Iraq militarily, but Kuwait can threaten Iraq economically. Kuwait started producing oil much more than its quota within OPEC, and that led to the downfall of the oil prices. We didn't have any ambitions on Kuwait. We were not new in power. If we had such ambitions, we could have done it in the 70s, in the 80s. Iraq is, in all times, was much, much stronger and bigger than Kuwait. When Syria entered Lebanon, and there was no international negative reaction to that, we could have used the same pretext to enter Kuwait. We could have used the Iranian threat as a pretext to enter Kuwait, even pretending that, well, Kuwait is small, it cannot defend itself, we are going to enter Kuwait in order to defend. If you have such ambitions, you could use a lot of tricks and pretexts to do it. But we were obliged to put Kuwait on the picture in our response to the American designs against Iraq.
How is the disarmament scenario here progressing now that you seem to be over a hump with UNSCOM?
We have done everything that was required in Resolution 687. The arms have been destroyed, the equipment, the installations involved in their production were destroyed. There is a very wide, very intrusive monitoring system which covers all the industrial sites, all the possible and the impossible sites that might be involved in the production of those weapons. And as long as the Americans don't want the sanctions to be lifted, they will use UNSCOM and UNSCOM's reports to postpone that. But this has neared its end. The game has been exposed. During this crisis, the world has realized that they are lying. The Americans and their tools are lying, exaggerating. And in a relatively short period, they will find themselves in a position to admit the truth. And that will pave the way for lifting the economic sanctions.
So India was a traditional friend of yours. Am I accurate in keeping that in the past tense? What has been India's role during your crisis, from the Gulf War to the sanctions, right to the present day?
I could say that in the last 7 or 8 years, India was not involved, even when India was a member in the Security Council. They tried to put themselves in a situation where they do not anger any side, you see. We didn't like that, but what can we do about it? Because if the American plans succeed regarding Iraq continuously, they might have such plans against you for any reason that might arise now or in the future. So then such plans could succeed. And it is in the best interest of non-aligned nations, nations that might be badly hurt, badly influenced by the big powers, to support each other. And if you believe in that, you can do it in different ways.
We have a new government now. Would you like to send a message?
Well, I hope
Mr.
that they will
Vajpayee?
do what I said. If they don't do it, we will not be angry.
Mr. Aziz, thank you very much indeed.
Ahlan wa sahlan.
Excellency, thank you very much
Ahlan wa
indeed.
sahlan.